Hi, everyone. This is Timothy Lewis with T. I'm excited to explain and show to you what the T ecosystem is in whole and what the T network will one day be. We're building in an excited fashion, getting ready for launch, and wanted to explain some of the primitives, some of the early parts of our network build out that you should be excited about. Little history. Max and I founded what is now PKGX about 3.5 years ago with the dream to incentivize open source. And I have been involved in the blockchain ecosystem for greater than the last 10 years. Some of the things that I'm more well known for is founding Ikigai Asset Management, Ikigai.fund, and the Developers DAO, DevX DAO, where we gave out over 15 million euros in grants to open source development. I had become friends with Max along my engineering and development career. Max is most famously known for creating Homebrew. Homebrew was likely the most widely contributed open source software ever. It had a user base of over 100 million users and is a package management tool for Mac OS X and Linux. One of the most successful open source projects of all time. Yet when I met Max, he struggled between contracts and not being incentivized to continue his work on Homebrew, which has born now T. And this was him coming on chain, learning about some of the primitives, and myself and he designing a network and infrastructure that will work together to incentivize open source. To accomplish this as a US company, without clear regulatory guidelines to creating a tokenized infrastructure, tokenized network, we have to work with, and we get to work with an organization that is going to help us shepherd in the token economy and launch the tokenized asset within the T ecosystem. And that is the T Association. The members of the T Association, both Raphael and Gavin, I've known now for years. Both of them are extremely ethical, amazing people. Raphael Bauman, I've known for about 8 years, who now works for PST Legal. PST Legal, he works for under Patrick Storchniger, who is a board member of the Ethereum Foundation. Raphael's been in the crypto ecosystem for many years and is one of the most ethical, responsible, and respectful people that I know. And joining him is Gavin Samples. Gavin had been a product designer, user experience designer, when he had gotten called up by the NHS to help organize and manage the entire operations of testing for the NHS and the UK government throughout the COVID pandemic. Having over 40,000 people and a budget of $2.5 billion, he was able to bring that population to a much higher testing rate than almost any other of the large nation states. So ultimately, we're building an organization of trust that is an ethically handled organization, and we're excited to have them along for the ride. The problem we're really trying to solve is the Nebraska problem. This is a threat to the integrity of enterprise software. It is misaligned incentives between the developers and the enterprises. They use the software that they develop. Millions of open source developers are unpaid and unrewarded. It really threatens the sustainability long-term of open source and the security of the open source supply chain. Without proper compensation, we risk losing the security that underpin a lot of the modern digital economy. The comic that you see here is a famous XKCD comic. The reason why we call it the Nebraska problem is just because of this. Imagine that comic as all of the building blocks that it takes to build modern software or parts of applications on the internet, web applications. They're made up from hundreds and thousands and now hundreds of thousands of different packages that all do small jobs, do them well, do them securely. The things at the top are very well known. They're the consumer-facing applications or enterprise-facing applications. The things that underpin these structures are not really well known. So this is trying to shine a light on what is open source and what is the value of open source and how do we come to a value for open source. This is where layer T comes in. T is a layer 2 custom opt stack based network. It resides on top of Ethereum, and we're excited to be a part of both the Ethereum community and the Optimism community. We made some customization to our blockchain to allow us to utilize GPG addresses, that's a PKI infrastructure, to allow some of the common address scheme that developers have used for the last 20 years or so to be used in executing contracts and securing different parts of the open source supply chain, as it would fit more naturally into their current user experience. So this custom precompile that we've added in our network allows us to do a lot more with the GPG space, and we're very excited about it. But I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the parts of our ecosystem when we launch and some of the other areas in which we're going to register and validate open source. We're going to rank open source, and we're going to try to find community value for open source while other people are using the permissionless blockchain to build out new things with our user experience, with our user development tools. As I mentioned before, Layer T sits on top of Ethereum and is this OpStack permissionless-based network. A lot of our developer tooling experience comes from the PKGX suite of tools. PKGX, PKGM, PKGo, and MASH are a part of tools that really represent the advancements in Max's career, moving from homebrew in the Web 2-based experience to include all tooling and ideally across all operating systems. So PKGX we're hoping that it is the first real cross also operating system, like multiple native operating system package manager, really the last package manager you'll ever need. We're working really hard right now on native Windows integration, which is an absolute feat. But right now it's available on Mac OS X and Linux, and we'll work on the WSL v2 Windows environment as well. So it is a tool, it's very fast, it's written in Rust, it helps you manage and launch packages very conveniently, and it is very mature. We launched it about 3 years ago, and it has nearly 10,000 stars on GitHub, if that even means anything these days. But ultimately, we're building it out towards a better on-chain developer experience as well. So understanding what the PKGX ecosystem is like and how you can utilize it to build on top of Ethereum and Layer T is important for us, and it's important for your workflow. T-Base is a secure developer's cockpit. It really helps you manage GPG and SSH keys in a modern way. There's other added features like Git add-on manager and .file syncing, encrypted .file syncing, which really help manage environments for yourself when moving across multiple systems, as happens to all modern developers. But it also allows you to sign your code and code commits very, very easily. Much more easily than there was before. It's always been arduous to sign commits, and honestly, to keep commits without squishing commits within the Git architecture and the ecosystem has been something that everyone in the community has strayed away from. So we're hoping to add on some tools through our Git add-on manager that allow for a public registry of commits, of signed commits to people's code bases. So we can track that registry and then reward that registry. So look out for T-Base. It's available now on OS X. It is a pref-paying tool for now and will include a wallet, both a GPG wallet and a T-Base wallet shortly. We're interconnecting a number of different AI agent frameworks. We know how popular AI agent frameworks are going to be. I'm very excited about its use in all things, but also especially within managing blockchain resources. So the frameworks that we're building in towards, like Eliza OS and LangChain, expect to see a lot of development there to interact with our ecosystem, because really it's just the way the world is moving, and we're excited about that. T protocol is the application that most people are used to. It's what we launched on Base. It helps developers register their repositories and receive rewards based on the T rank that we derive from Chai. The system of Chai is going to be oracleized. Right now, it's just a centralized database, but it interconnects many different package manager ecosystems and creates a global dependency graph that can help give us a real ranking of open source. Really, it's been said that 90 to 93% of open source really isn't very useful, but the top 7 or 8% is used by 95% of all enterprise and internet software in the world. So trying to understand a value of that goes beyond stars and downloads on GitHub is what we're attempting, and we believe we've got a good system to do it. So we're interconnecting these package manager ecosystems through Chai, and giving these repositories a T rank, which represents something similar to a page rank in Google's architecture. With that T rank, a higher T rank will allow you to do different things. Early on, we're going to enable different structures of launching and investing community value assets on our Launchpad brew.fun. So Brew.fun will be a launchpad ecosystem for verified open source from projects that are very well known and have incredible communities that already support them. The goal here is to teach both the developer who's launching the ecosystem value and the users who are supporting that ecosystem value, that good things come to those who wait. So there will be vesting periods implemented on Brew.fun for the developers, while we continue to try to help them understand their token treasuries, making sure that they don't do uh, things that are harmful to their own reputation and harmful to the communities that they represent. Also to make sure that they can wisely use and interface with the values that can derive from these ecosystems. And hopefully after they've built these community value assets, which because of the structures of regulatory permissions in the US, will be memes for the better use of the word. But hopefully some of these projects will mature into features in some of the world's best open source systems that exist today. New features can be unlocked. Different things can happen. Having on-chain be a part of your application is such a benefit and positive. This global computer, then this global space for registry, provenance, licensing, etc. We're very excited what some of these people that we bring on and encourage to do well will create. These assets, once they break out of their bonding curve, for anyone that knows about launch pads, once they reach a certain fully diluted value in a fair launch mechanism, we will pair them to an unnamed DEX partner that's coming over. So we're not yet prepared to talk about who this is. It will be announced shortly. But we have one of the best DEX partners in, I think, the crypto world and in the optimism world especially, that is pairing with us to help bring the shared liquidity pool from some of the meta DEX, so some of the cross-chain assets that they support in their ecosystem. So we're very excited to support the OSS assets that will launch from our launch pool and that will then be supported into the unnamed DEX partnership. I'm going to go over some of these individually. Chai, as I mentioned, is this universal, unbiased object source of truth. It is a transparent algorithm that we've published that will interconnect to many, if not all, package manager ecosystems. So we can use that to create this T rank for all of open source software. It's their dependence and their applications across all ecosystems. So that really is this central tool that we will then oracleize to make sure not only is how the algorithm is working is transparent, but seeing it on chain and the data that it collects will be transparent as well. This is useful for all web, not just Web3. So we were excited to open source that tool several months ago. We've continued and we've been committed to continuously upgrading and improving that along the way. T-Base, as I mentioned, it's this developer's cockpit. It's cryptography tools for devs. It modernizes key management for GPG and SSH. It's a simple signing tool for Git, has a Git add-on manager for other experiments in Git that we plan on doing. It's web agnostic, not just Web3, and will integrate a T and GPG wallet. PKGX is really at the center of our developer experience. It's a blazingly fast package manager. It has a number of other different applications that are part of its suite of tools, including, but not limited to, Mash, which is a package manager for scripts, and PKGM, which really is Brew 2. This is more akin to the Brew experience, but is a lot faster and includes a lot more Web3 native tooling. It's web agnostic, not just Web3, and is mature as a package manager itself. So go check out PKGX if you're a developer and you haven't yet. We really think that you'll like what you see, and it's expanding its cross-operating system capabilities. This is something we're really excited about. We want to be able to have access to management of repositories, packages, and your ecosystem across all different operating systems that you might work on. So check out PKGX. T network, T itself. As I mentioned before, it's a layer 2 ETH blockchain. It is a modern developer user experience for building on-chain applications. This was super important to us. In account abstraction and the change of the upgrade in the Ethereum Pectra upgrades, we're very excited for. We're going to be building out packages and scripts to enable on-chain deployment and security in a much faster, much more fit developer experience that will encourage more fast development that is secure within our ecosystem. T is the gas token for layer T, and OSS rewards on the application layer. Ownership of the network really is in the hands of the developers. We intend for this to be a layer 3 factory. So the way that we think that scaling will work in Ethereum, we're very, very thankful for this time in which there are layer 2s that are coming into the ecosystem that can all customize different parts about how they would like their user experience to be. So we're going to customize many tools to make sure that our developer user experience is fantastic, so they can create an application user experience for users that makes sense. Once they have, we're really going to be encouraging them to bring their transactions, bring their ecosystems onto an abstracted layer from ours to make the user experience for applications even easier until a time in which the account abstraction really is better suited for external application users. But we're excited about what this means and all the developers that we're bringing into the ecosystem from the open source community and what they might be able to build on top of our network. Distribution. So I'm going to go over some of the basics of distribution and especially some of the early ones. A lot of them are going to be based around GPG wallet incentives. This is funding the most critical open source software. This is part of the registration process with T protocol. It's also a part of the GPG Genesis distribution, which is based on the top 20% of all open source projects by T rank. Those projects, we dove in and we were able to extract the signed commits from those projects, and we're going to be rewarding signed commits from the best open source that will be available for them after Genesis, and for them to be only able to retrieve this with the use of their private keys from the GPG wallets that they already own. So OSS projects can onboard and they can receive rewards commensurate with their impact and value, which is based on the novel Oracle Chai. That is proof of contribution. There's incentivized rewards for signed commits. OSS supporters can stake long-term in the value of the Oracle and earn a portion of an APY that will be distributed through the network. So that's something that a lot of you are used to, but within the T protocol application, being able to stake to the staked repositories. Valuable code bases, they garner higher rewards. So the higher your T rank is, it will adjust dynamically as projects become more essential within the OSS graph to reward developers properly. We're distributing network ownership to the OSS developer community. This is our launch month, really mostly launch day, but we're excited about the tools that we're building out. This will include bridges, fantastic RPC, fantastic indexing, and a really good experience for developers. The T protocol, as I mentioned before, this is the OSS Incentive Orchestrator. This is a tool that many people used for many months and have tested. So we are making sure that this is available day one and excited about what it means for qualifying, ranking, and distributing value to open source. Brew.fun, this is going to be a lot of fun. We're having fun with some of the way that the interface works. We're designing it in a secure way to where OSS token issuers, they can show to the community that they're in it for the long run, and based on their T rank, be tied into the vesting of their ownership in a longer way. But this will all be fair launch assets that can choose to integrate with some ELIZA OS and LangChain bots to help stimulate and stir up their community. We believe that some of these assets will come from some of the top OSS projects in the world. We're very excited to support them, and we have a number that we're going to be launching with over the next few months. This unnamed DEX partnership that I keep on talking about, we are close to finalizing the commitment from this. It is part of our path to transfer all intellectual property to the association. There is a shared liquidity DEX, and ultimately that allows for our assets that we generate on our platform and our network to then be shared as available options from the liquidity pools that exist on some of the other OpStack-based chains. This allows for and encourages the investment and speculation on these assets from much wider groups of users. So very excited to support a lot of these assets as they mature into the MetaDEX. Going to go over some of the timeline because we've been at this for a long time. In July of 21, Max and I founded T. We raised about 5 million bucks over the next few months, over those first 4 or 5 months, really. And once we found some of our great investment partners, we didn't stop. We continued to raise capital. We raised an additional $12 million by the end of July of 22. In September of 23, we rebranded to PKGX Inc. At that time, actually, I was sitting outside of the company and taking a bit of a sabbatical. Under the leadership there, they felt it was required to make sure that there was a external understanding of the separation between PKGX and T and the T Association. So that was done in October of 23. The T.XYZ landing page was launched first to have educational content and email capture. It was launched on we launched the PKGX website as well. There was a FINMA no action letter on our application development through that time in November. In December, we launched a fully developed pre-login T.XYZ site, and that was initially for the application only. And in January, the ITN announcement was made, and there was an ITN countdown on the T.XYZ site just for the application. February, we had quickly moved to over 1 million signups into the T protocol application, where at the end of February, the incentivize testnet was launched. And by May, over 1 million unique wallets were using the testnet application that was launched on Base. I rejoined the company shortly after May, after taking nearly a year and a quarter sabbatical. And we radically changed the vision and direction. Max and I wanted to ensure that we were going to be able to economically create the incentives that would really spur and ensure the development of the T ecosystem from open source developers, and not just create financial models on top of registration of the security of packages, but really create the security tooling and developer experience needed to bring the developers into Web3. So when I returned, we changed a lot of our vision. We pivoted towards launching our own network rather than just being an application token on top of the base network. So from the end of summer this last year, we've been very busy at work and very busy engineering. That I'm going to go into much further depth on later broadcasts. But in this, I'll just say, by the time of my return, we reorganized the company. And when we did that, we focused on engineering. And since then, in September, we decided to publicly launch Chai, the open source software that supports our view of T-Rank universally. Then we launched T-Base, the Secure Developers Cockpit, in November 24, and we took care of all the actions required to get closer to our TGE in December. We had been busy working on the layer 2 network during that time and deciding different features and the customization of our chain by December, and felt confident in being able to write and launch the layer 1 canonical asset on December 31st. So we kept off the end of the year with launching that asset. In January with this year, we decided to launch our first testnet. So this was not the custom version of our network. This was more of a vanilla OpStack version that we launched on called Assam. This was extremely successful to date. We're very excited about the usage. The liveness test of users on this has been incredible, and it's allowed us to test some of our sequencer partners and some of the other infrastructure partners along the way. In February, we fully expect to launch at least the next testnet and likely the mainnet. We are waiting really on the market, in the external market, to be able to finally list the asset. We have a few things to tidy up internally, including finalizing the sale of the intellectual property to the association, which should be occurring this week. And then we're excited to just have to wait for a little bit of market excitement in the greater crypto ecosystem for our partners to be able to signal to us that they feel it's time for us to go. So we're wrapping everything up now, and we're very excited about that. We'll talk a little bit about tokenomics. So we're going to dive much deeper into this, especially before we get to market, to where any of these assets might be for sale. But understand that most of our ecosystem is going to ecosystem and governance. We did have a portion that has gone to protocol development. Some of our seed investors and advisors. We're reserving some for launch, for partnerships and integrations and other things that the association may choose to do in order to capture the value of initial participants and those that want to see the longer term value of T itself. We will as well be working with market makers and offering them some form of liquidity provision. We were very proud of our relationships with our market makers in the deals that we've struck with them. So very excited to get the information out when the time is right about who they are. So looking forward to that, working with them and ensuring the long-term value of the T ecosystem. So what are the demand drivers? Well, basically, there's many different forms of demand driver for T as a utility, but most easily explainable is the gas fees. We wanted to ensure that T was the method of gas used on the T network. So that's what it is. So anyone who does anything on the T network, it will require T. This is a OpStack-based Ethereum layer 2, so you can expect transaction costs to be somewhere around the other well-known, well-operated OpStack layer 2s. But ultimately, it will be resolved in T. And staking mechanisms on T protocol itself is not required for the security of our network, but it is required to help some of the security of the applications that are registered on the T application. And so OSS maintainers must stake T to continue to earn rewards and also submit packages. So OSS supporters can also stake T to earn slight rewards towards the network and show their support for open source as we build that protocol out more deeply to encourage and incentivize more rewards in T protocol. And as far as governance, there will be methods to stake T to influence key aspects of protocol design and OSS integrations. Decentralization doesn't happen in a moment. It happens gradually over time. We'll be building out better decentralization usages and tools, but initially the association will spend some time being able to create a DAO system and mechanism to allow things to be voted on that they choose, that they bring in front of the community as we graduate into further decentralization. Applications on top, there'll be yield generation, there'll be ways to retro fund back to projects in an easier way. So us being able to distribute to these GPG addresses allows for very interesting mechanisms to reward a very transparent retro facing view on what software is. Also forward with bounties and different ways to incentivize verified impact. So we're very much looking forward to what that is, but also the trading fees and other activities that occur from all applications can go back into the network, will go back into the network and drive demand for the network. This really is community-driven capitalization. The projects that launch on Brew, they will hopefully generate community value through memification, through awareness, and then through some of the tools that they might decide to build out. So we're very excited about the open source developers that will come in and make more reasons to either own T or own application tokens that sit on top of T. Our TGE was December 31st, 2024. This is the contract if you want to go check it out. Yes, there were 100 billion tokens issued, and we have a full plan for what we're doing and what the requirements and what the contract is stated to do is fully transparent on Etherscan. So please check it out. Some of our testnet numbers. This was during the base testnet application launch. We had over 1.7 million unique wallets interacting with our testnet. We had over 610,000 developers sign in with GitHub to register for our testnet, and really closer to 17,000 OSS projects that registered on T protocol. So really received some widespread adoption during this time, but we're excited for the things that it's going to be doing next. In Assam, these numbers were derived about 8 days after we launched. We're about 26 days in now, and they're 4 times as large in many cases. So Assam was possibly the fastest growing community of any ETH layer 2. We're so thankful for those that have participated and very much look forward to incentivizing fully the final testnet, the T Sepolia network, which will be launching shortly after finalizing the contract with our sequencing provider and being able to have them work with us to launch our custom precompile, our custom OpStack layer 2 network. It will be all happening very shortly. Our social reach has been incredible. Some platforms we're better on than others. I personally choose to speak mostly on Discord. So if you're looking to speak with me or anyone really on the development team, you might find us more on Discord than anywhere else. our existing investors. I can't say enough to thank our existing investors. They've stuck with us for a long time. It's been, for some of them, over 3 years now. We have Binance Labs, Round 13 Digital Asset Fund, Lattice Capital, XBTO, Woodstock, among many other fantastic partners. So thankful for you, and I look forward to completing this project and making everyone proud. There's a little legal disclaimer that I'll let everyone screenshot and check out because it's a lot of fun. And that's it. So thank you. I hope that you understand a little bit more about the entire T ecosystem now. This is far more than just an application base that is based on another well-known application and has changed chains to say that it's something different. We're trying to restructure incentive for all software. We're trying to create a more secure supply chain for open source. We have a lot of the foundations of what this system might be, and we're very confident in what we're launching will show that. And that we can build our developer tools to help build the developer experience into something that flows into what you're already used to where you can start to use on-chain Web3 applications and develop using tools that will support these the wonder that is Byzantine fault-tolerant networks. So thank you for sticking with us. We're looking forward to the launch, and I'll see you all soon.